Dialogue.
It's midday in Dakar and 1 o'clock in Lagos. Good afternoon and welcome to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM Dakar and online at wadr.org. First, our top stories. The AU's mission to Niger signals olive branch to ensure regional stability through dialogue.
Today, whether we like it or not, the AES is a viable entity that must be engaged. Our destinies are inextricably linked.
Regional experts warn of a looming crisis as data shows over 52 million people risk severe food insecurity by June. Nigerian health workers protest proposed regulatory overhaul.
If you must amend any professional bill, such professional bodies should be contacted. They should be the one to make inputs to what they think is not right about their profession.
And Burkina Faso sentences former Minister Zongo to 5 years in prison over embezzlement of public funds. Please stay with us for details of these stories and more.
On the news, this is a more edit.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast. The African Union is signaling a strategic shift towards the Alliance of Sahel States, or AES. AU High Representative for the Sahel, Dr. Mamadou Tangara, has concluded a consultative mission to Niamey. Experts describe the move as a tactical recognition of the region's evolving political landscape and a step towards renewing formal dialogue. Christopher Tisha reports.
This mission marks a significant shift in the African Union's approach to the Central Sahel, following critical talks with President Assimi Goïta in Bamako. Dr. Mamadou Tangara proceeded to Niamey on a direct mandate from the chairperson of the AU Commission. The objective is clear: to break the diplomatic deadlock and renew formal dialogue with the AES countries.
Today, whether we like it or not, the AES is a viable entity that must be engaged. We live in a region where our destinies are inextricably linked.
According to the High Representative, the key to regional stability lies at the very heart of the Leptako-Gruma region. Dr. Tangara emphasized that long-term security cannot be achieved without a closer, more collaborative relationship with the authorities of the Central Sahel.
Solutions cannot come from elsewhere. It is up to us, the people of this region, to find a way forward.
While the AU is extending an olive branch, the path forward remains complex as the AES nations continue to assert their sovereignty and distance themselves from traditional regional blocs. Observers are waiting to see how this renewed will for dialogue will materialize into concrete cooperation in the coming weeks.
A report by our Niamey correspondent Yakuba Bibulai, there presented by Christopher Atijo. Meanwhile, regional experts are meeting in Togo for a high-stake assessment of food security across West Africa and the Sahel. With over 41 million people currently in need of aid, the summit aims to update agricultural data and refine early warning systems before the onset of the critical lean season in June. Augustin Koli gives us the details.
The proceedings in Lomé are focused on validating results of the current crop year while strengthening the coordination of regional humanitarian efforts. The stakes could not be higher. According to the latest data, over 41.7 million people in West Africa and the Sahel are currently in urgent need of food assistance. Experts warn that without immediate and strategic intervention, this figure is projected to surge to 52.7 million during the lean season, the critical period between June and August. It is against this backdrop that delegates are working to refine early warning systems and design more robust response mechanisms. The Permanent Interstate Committee for Drought Control in the Sahel continues to issue urgent alerts, calling for decisive state action to prevent a widespread catastrophe. The crisis is further compounded by a massive displacement of nearly 9 million people across the region, driven by persistent insecurity and the erratic effects of climate change. This mass movement has placed unprecedented pressure on already strained food systems and overextended aid delivery networks. The Lomé consultations conclude today, Friday. The meeting is expected to produce a set of strategic recommendations aimed at reinforcing public policy and improving the long-term management of food security across the sub-region.
Augustine Colley filed a report. Ghana's President John Dramani Mahama has described the United Nations General Assembly's adoption of Ghana's reparations motion as a major diplomatic breakthrough. The resolution passed on Wednesday calls for renewed global commitment to reparative justice for African countries and descendants of enslaved people, urging structured dialogue and concrete steps to address the enduring impact of slavery. It secured 123 votes in favor, with the United States, Argentina, and Israel opposing, while 52 countries abstained. The United States termed the resolution highly problematic despite acknowledging the injustice of slavery, citing concerns over beneficiaries. In a post on X on Thursday, President Mahama welcomed the outcome, noting it recognizes the trafficking and enslavement of Africans as among the gravest crimes against humanity. At the same time, Ghana's parliament has passed the Legal Education Reform Bill of 2025. This decision effectively ends the long-standing monopoly of the Ghana School of Law. The new law establishes a dedicated council to regulate and expand access to professional legal training in the country. WDR's Accra correspondent Nadi Detete reports.
A key feature of the reform is the opening up of the professional legal training to accredited universities, including private institutions, effectively ending the monopoly of the Ghana School of Law. The new law also introduces a law practice training course designed to equip students with practical legal skills. This will serve as a requirement for candidates before they sit a newly created national bar exam, a standardized test for qualification to the bar. Presenting the bill in its initial stages last month, Attorney General and Minister for Justice Dr. Dominic Ayine said the reforms are aimed at promoting equal opportunity in line with Article 25 of the Constitution and addressing long-standing barriers that have limited access to legal education. The Majority Leader, Mahama Yarega, described the passage of the bill as the beginning of a new era, saying it will ensure fairness for all law students regardless of where they study.
We have today successfully passed the bill. We believe that this is the dawn of a new era where all students will be fairly treated. Whichever law school you go to, whichever law faculty you attend, all of us would end at the doors of the National Bar Examination. All of us.
The bill, which received bipartisan support, now awaits presidential assent to become law. For WADR, Nadiri Tete, Accra.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
In Burkina Faso, the High Court has delivered its verdict in the Yake Camille and others case after 11 days of hearings centered on alleged embezzlement of public funds. Former Minister Laura Zongo-Hien has been sentenced to 5 years in prison and fined 10 million CFA francs. An arrest warrant has been issued as she has reportedly been hospitalized since March 24. The main defendant, Yake Camille, received the heaviest sentence, 11 years in prison and a fine of over 462 million CFA francs. He has been taken into custody immediately, along with Isiaka Sangare, who was sentenced to 5 years in prison and fined 67.5 million CFA francs. Meanwhile, Pasco Bila received a 15-month suspended sentence and a fine of 5 million CFA francs. Several defendants, including Lydia Bonkogu, Kuka Dimash Yamego, and Billy Zongo, were acquitted due to lack of evidence. Businessman Ismail Odrago was also cleared of all charges. The case, involving an estimated 115 million CFA francs, is part of broader anti-corruption efforts in Burkina Faso, alongside other major cases linked to alleged investment of more than 3 billion CFA francs. Now, regarding agriculture, authorities in Burkina Faso are urging citizens to prioritize locally made products as a vital act of national service. The call was a central theme of the third days of patriotic engagement. It is an initiative aimed to fostering economic sovereignty and national pride. Abdullah Hassan reports.
The national flag was hoisted high across administrative buildings in the capital, marking the commencement of the third day of patriotic engagement. In a keynote address delivered on his behalf by the Minister of Territorial Administration, Emile Zerbo, Captain Ibrahim Traore took a firm stance against foreign economic dependence, framing the move toward local goods as a strike against imperialism.
Imperialism is not just a matter of history books or mainstream media. It is also present in our food. As the father of the August 1983 revolution said, the imported grains of rice, corn, and millet that we eat, that is imperialism.
The message served as a rallying cry for Burkinabe citizens to look inward, emphasizing that the strength of the nation's economy lies in the hands of the local producers.
The era of being ashamed of our own products is over. The new Burkina Faso we desire is one that consciously chooses to change its habit. It is one that passes down this core value to its children, the sacred duty to produce what we consume and consume what we produce.
The days of patriotic engagement were established by the Burkinabe transitional authorities in early 2025. The initiative seeks to cultivate a deep sense of national pride by encouraging citizens to produce what they consume and consume what they produce, a philosophy aimed at ensuring long-term self-sufficiency and reliance.
A report from our correspondent Martin Kaba and voiced by Abdullahi Hassan. In the meantime, Guinea's Prime Minister Lansana Kouyaté has been appointed ECOWAS chief negotiator with the Alliance of Sahel States AES. His mission will be to bring the two blocs closer together, especially since Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger officially left the West African Economic and Monetary Community, ECOWAS, in January 2025. Experts say this will be no easy task given the breakdown of political trust at the highest levels between the two blocs. We will bring you more of this development in the other half of the news. Elsewhere in Nigeria, health workers are expressing grievances against a new regulatory bill currently before the legislature. They carried out a protest in Abuja on Thursday against the move. The professionals warned that the proposed law could fundamentally disrupt the structure of the national healthcare system and undermine professional autonomy. Yechino Sasich in Abuja reports.
The protest, led by the joint health sector unions, JOHESU, took place at the Unity Fountain in Nigeria's capital, where workers expressed concerns over the proposed legislation before the National Assembly. The union says the bill could centralize regulatory powers and undermine the independence of other health professions within the sector.
No JOHESU! No!
Acting President of JOHESU, John Ali, says the union opposes provisions it believes could negatively affect healthcare delivery.
I believe that if you must amend any professional bill, such professional bodies should be contacted. They should be the one to make input to what they think is not right about their profession. And so regulation is primary in everything, because it is only as a professional group that you know where things are probably not right or things are right with your profession.
Also speaking, JOHESU National Secretary Martins Egbanubi said the protest aims to draw attention to the potential impact of the bill on health workers and the broader healthcare system.
The National Assembly is called upon to reject these bills as currently articulated in the greater interest of peace and stability in the Nigeria health sector ecosystem. Is that our position? Yes!
The union maintains that while reforms are necessary, they must be inclusive and should not threaten the autonomy of other health professionals. For WADR, Yechinu Sasitu in Abuja.
You're listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM Dakar and online at wadr.org. Here is a reminder of the top stories. AU's mission to Niger signals olive branch to ensure regional stability through dialogue. Regional experts warn of a looming crisis as data shows over 52 million people risk severe food insecurity by June. Nigerian health workers protest proposed regulatory overhaul. Burkina Faso sentences former Minister Zongo to 5 years in prison over embezzlement of public funds. And still ahead, we do have a guest interview, the press review, and sports news. Please stay with us.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
Don't forget, we are streaming live on wadr.org and full live streamings on YouTube and Facebook. Let's turn to Liberia, where the government has unveiled an ambitious one-year national action plan to drastically reduce maternal and newborn death. The initiative, launched in Monrovia on Thursday, focuses on strengthening healthcare infrastructure and improving emergency access for women and children. Our correspondent Abraham Parker reports from Monrovia.
The newly launched action plan outlines targeted, high-impact interventions aimed at delivering measurable actions in maternal and newborn deaths within 1 year. Speaking at the launch, Assistant Minister at the Ministry of State, George Masha, who represented President Joseph Boakai, said clear targets have been set to ensure tangible results.
By this launch, the government of Liberia aims to strengthen referral systems by improving transportation and communication for timely medical care. The Ministry of Health will lead the implementation of the plan, supported by the regular performance review to ensure progress and accountability. This effort marks an important step towards achieving universal health coverage.
Assistant Health Minister Dr. Taye Sakimo also underscored the urgency of the initiative, calling on health workers nationwide to align with the plan and to strengthen collaborative efforts.
For the power in investing and honor the stewardship of the Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Louis M. Foto, I declare the 365 days of action under the theme Hands on Deck to End Preventable Maternal and Newborn Deaths launched and to be upheld and implemented across the 15 counties of Liberia.
The event brought together health professionals, students, government officials, and development partners, all united in the drive to end preventable deaths. As Liberia begins implementation, the plan is being seen as a critical step toward ensuring safe outcomes for mothers and newborns. Reporting for West Africa Democracy Radio, I'm Abraham Parker in Monrovia.
The Gambia's energy sector has seen a major boost with the launch of its first modern petroleum testing facility by Oil Surveillance Services. The lab is expected to end the country's costly reliance on neighboring Senegal for fuel quality certification. From Banjo Sang, Donamendi reports.
Concerns had been mounting over the circulation of substandard and contaminated fuel in the country prior to the launch of the facility. Reports of vehicle damage and potential safety risks, including suspected links to recent car fire incidents, further heightened public anxiety. Citizens now hope the new laboratory will deter the importation of poor quality fuel and strengthen enforcement against violators.
Before they start to sell fuel, they should have a lab to test whether it meets the required standards and whether they have the right to sell it in the country or not. I really appreciate the step.
The new petroleum testing lab in the Gambia is, of course, a game changer for fuel test safety and quality.
Let them help us with more testing labs so that we can test the fuel and know whether this one is suitable with our vehicles or not.
Meanwhile, lawmakers in the National Assembly have repeatedly expressed frustration with the Public Utilities Regulatory Authority, PURA, over the lack of in-country testing capacity, underscoring the urgency of the new facility. Experts say the laboratory could also deliver broader economic gains, as reducing the need to send fuel samples abroad is expected to cut costs and speed up decision-making in the energy sector. Lamin Diba is an economist.
And now the Gambia is having petroleum products tested in the Gambia. So that decrease in cost of testing should have an impact on the pricing the government puts on its petroleum products.
However, the Gambia continues to grapple with challenges in its downstream energy sector, including heavy reliance on imports and vulnerabilities in storage and distribution. Equipped with advanced testing technology and staffed by trained professionals, the facility is expected to play a key role in strengthening the integrity of the country's energy supply chain. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Sangdona Mendy, Reporting from Banjul.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Well, we now focus on the appointment of former Guinean Prime Minister Lansana Kouyaté as ECOWAS chief negotiator with the AES countries. His mission will be to bring the two blocs closer together, especially since Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger officially left ECOWAS in January 2025. Experts say this will be no easy task given the breakdown political trust at the highest levels between the two blocs. Romaric Lucien Badusi, a lecturer and researcher in political science at the University of Parakou, Benin, provides an analysis of the appointment.
I believe that Mr. Lansana Kouyaté has a background that could be an asset in this mission. He is a seasoned diplomat with extensive diplomatic experience, having served as Guinea's ambassador on several occasions. He was Guinea's representative to the UN Secretary General's Special Envoy to Mali, and the OIF Secretary General's Special Envoy to Togo for the Inter-Togolese dialogue. And above all, it's important to remember that he was the Executive Secretary of ECOWAS, which is equivalent to what we now call the President of the ECOWAS Commission. He is a man with a very interesting profile for this type of mission.
This appointment comes after mediation efforts by Togo, Ghana, and Senegal. So, how can all of this be harmonized for an effective understanding and collaboration between these two organizations?
I believe he won't cross the SNRLO border, but he will still try to capitalize on the initiatives already undertaken by the figures you mentioned. Today, despite the departure of these three countries, there is room for negotiation between the two blocs on the economic front. As you know, ECOWAS has established a free trade area. How will this measure, which increases the number of originating products, be managed? This is a question that needs to be debated. Regarding security, you know that ECOWAS is gradually establishing its standby force, and one of the missions assigned to this force will be, above all, the fight against terrorism. Whatever one might say, there is a great geographical proximity, and the AES is the very epicenter of terrorism in our West African region. Therefore, it will not be possible to effectively wage this fight without collaborating between the ECOWAS standby force and the AES forces. Another issue is the legal status of nationals from both blocs, and you know that ECOWAS has taken a number of measures for its citizens. For example, there is the question of visa exemptions, border crossings, and the question of exemptions from residency permits for residents. These are issues that need to be discussed. These are important issues they are trying to discuss in order to clarify the situation.
Can we imagine collaboration in the fight against terrorism knowing that political trust is broken at that level?
Absolutely, you are right. One of Mr. Fiagrit's strengths at that level is that he comes from Guinea, a country whose relations with the AES countries isn't as strained as they are with other states. The AES countries have more or less strained relations with almost all their neighbors, with a few rare exemptions like Guinea, Ghana, and to some extent Senegal. So, the fact that Mr. Kouyaté is Guinean can also make his job easier. There you have it.
In the fight against terrorism, ECOWAS is refining its strategy around its standby force, while the Confederation of Sahel States relies on its unified force. How can these two forces collaborate on the ground?
First, we must succeed in re-establishing dialogue between the two blocs, because as long as we continue to discuss and engage in dialogue, it's always possible to find common ground. So I believe Mr. Kouyaté's mission will be to bring the two sides closer together to bridge the gaps. It will be necessary for the military elite of both armies to try to discuss and harmonize their positions and strategies. So the essential thing is, first and foremost, to reach an agreement in principle to collaborate in this fight.
But some ECOWAS countries continue to collaborate with France on security matters. France, in fact, could be having strained relations with the AES countries. Doesn't this risk hindering closer ties between the two organizations?
Yes. There are some countries that still harbor a deep resentment towards France. Now, Those that continue to maintain strategic partnerships are, in a way, within their rights. Every country has the prerogative to define its foreign policy. But as you say, it's a subject that will inevitably be put on the table. Well, these are elements that will be addressed once dialogue is re-established between the two blocs. We will see. The essential thing is that trust is restored. Note that today, the three AES countries are gradually reconnecting with the United States, whereas a short time ago it was a rupture. One might even say a spectacular one. So even with France engaged in dialogue, many things are possible.
Romaric Lucien Badusi, a lecturer and researcher in political science at the University of Parakou, Benin. And in sport news, Nigeria's senior national team head coach Eric Schell has expressed strong confidence in newly invited wingers Yera So, predicting that the youngster will quickly become a fan favorite among supporters of the Super Eagles. The 25-year-old wide play will feature for Belgian side KRC Genk has received his maiden invitation to the national team ahead of the ongoing four-nation tournament in Turkey. He has already linked up with the squad in camp and is in line to make his debut in today's opening fixture against Iran national football team. Well, despite modest statistics this season, 4 goals and 1 assist in 24 appearances, Schell insists the winger brings far more to the team than numbers suggest.
West Africa.
And that's it on this edition of Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening. And many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Maudo Ju for the technical support. Let's keep the conversation coming on all of our social media platforms, X, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook at WADR English. I am Imo Edet. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Nibe County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County, Radio Gulf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone in Nigeria, and Love 104.5 FM Abuja.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your opinions.